Welcome back to our routine. So Outside the Cinema with Bill and Chris, we're your hosts.
Hello.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for coming. Yeah. So did we decide that? Hey, let me turn that down a little bit. Is this the season finale? This is the season finale, and then next week we start season 16, right? That's the decision that we made.
Yeah.
All right. So welcome to the season finale of Outside the Cinema, season 15. Much like the WWE, except for much less sexual harassment. And,
I'm not driving anybody anywhere.
Yeah, no, that's
a
just
trafficking
saying, more so
joke.
that we don't have an off season. Our season finale happens, and then the season premieres the next week. But so this year's a little different. Like, so for the first time in the now what would be 16 years of the show, we basically had to take time off. Anytime in the previous 15 years or whatever, we prepped shows. Like I've had, so I mean, we talk about the amount of things that we've done. Are there things that have happened in our lives since we started this show? Children were born, multiple children were born on both. You had two, I've got one. Bought and sold houses. Moved, like tons of things. I've had two back surgeries. Diverticulitis nearly took me out.
True.
Like, you've changed jobs a number of times. I've changed jobs a number of times. I've changed, not even just jobs, changed my complete career path.
Yeah.
A couple times.
One of my kids almost died.
Yeah, sickness all around for everybody.
Yeah.
But everyone's good right now, and we're gonna roll with that. But but for the first time, we had a situation where we had to take time away from the shows. When we had children born, pre-recorded a bunch of stuff, back surgeries. We knew when that was happening. Said a bunch of stuff when we moved houses and moved studios a number of times. Prepared, recorded a bunch of stuff. Even through COVID, we didn't miss a week. We were able to, set up the situation that we have now. Stop. No. Even through COVID, we didn't miss a show. We were able to pivot immediately to doing remote, and we've kind of stuck with that. It's just easier.
It is so much easier to. Before I was on medication, it's so much easier to just walk into this room, be dressed from the waist up, and be okay. I was thinking of two things, real quick. Did I say on the show last week about how I'm losing weight?
Yes,
well,
you did.
Guess what size pants I'm wearing right now?
38. Yeah.
And they're comfortable. They're not too tight. I'm not like forcing myself into them. So that was good. I forgot what the other thing was. Oh, yeah. I haven't been late for shit lately. Like how I used to be because I am medicated. So time is...
Right. Well, I mean, you were 20 minutes late today.
Well, I did tell you, once the thing at work is all set, then I'm able to do that. And that, for some reason, it took 35 minutes longer than it normally does, which, I don't know, it could be the temperature in the booth or whatever, but...
Who knows?
But I mean,
Who
like,
knows? Who knows?
I am pretty on time. Like you saw, I showed up. I was there well before
you're
the screening started.
Yeah, much better.
And it really pisses me off that all it took was a fucking pill to fix all that shit.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Yeah, for years, the one singular thing that like drove me nuts about you was you were late for everything.
Yeah.
And you're not anymore. Like, I mean, there's still like the occasional, like today, but you were doing work stuff, and but normally it's completely changed the way you show up to things.
It's
and stuff.
the ADHD. It was that. It's a time loss kind of thing. Because I would literally be getting ready for work and be like, okay, I got to leave in 5 minutes. Where the fuck did 20 minutes go? And it was infuriating because I wasn't fucking around. I'm like trying to get ready to go. But yeah, so that's just another thing that it has been over the 16 years that we've done. Anyway, so I don't want to forget that because I'm still forgetting stuff.
Nope, that's fine. But as we were saying, but in the first time in those 16 years, we were forced to shut the show down for an extended run. We were down I think 6 weeks. I think we went without recording.
So yeah,
six. It was 6 to 8 weeks we were down because I was in the hospital for 2. And then I definitely needed probably close to a month when I got home.
Yeah.
before I was able to actually like sit for a couple hours and record a show. So this year's season finale is a little different because I used to just be able to remember when they were by dividing everything by 52 because we were so consistent, and, and we haven't missed a show since then. So it's the type of thing where it's like, we're back on track and stuff, but we have less movies to choose from our pool for this week for the top and bottom 6. We usually, in most years, I would say we review about 100 movies a year.
Yeah.
52 weeks in a year. We usually probably have 2 shows throughout the year, usually the best of shows. And then this show that we don't do new reviews. And then we also have weeks where we might actually add some extra stuff in. But I would say most years, I would say between 96 and 100 films is probably what gets reviewed on the show. This year, 85.
Oh, okay. I didn't go through and count them this time.
85.
But yeah, that tracks.
Yeah. I didn't necessarily count them. I just happened to have the IMDb list in front of me. And so when we make these top and bottom lists, a lot of times we will take out anything that we included on our best of year end list. And I really like to just do the 10-year rule for the most part with the top and bottom 6 list. Just because I feel like that's truer to the show. It's like, so including stuff that's, from 2023 when we did the cram at the end of the year, I don't really like to include that. So usually like to roll with that 10-year rule. Or if it's a Patreon pick, it's a Patreon pick. So with that said, so we have 85 that we reviewed this year. It's probably closer to like 65 maybe that are actually like of the like OTC ilk when you take out the 2023 stuff.
I can see that. Yeah.
Or so. So we have a smaller, I don't know whether that's a good or a bad thing.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I will say this. When I was reviewing the list, there was a large number of movies this year that I do not even remember watching.
Yeah.
Like, we'll just use an example because I'm assuming it's probably not going to be on either of our lists because if I can't remember anything about it, it wasn't the worst. And if I could, so the first film we covered this year, the first 2 films we covered this year, one of them is memorable and the other was X-Ray. And I could not.
Yeah.
Could not. 1981.
I went through and read that description and I'm like, wow, I know I watched that.
Yeah, Barbie Benton is in it with Charles Lucia.
I don't think we hated it.
I mean, I'm watching.
It's a great example of one of those in the middle. Like, it's not good or bad, so I skip right over it. Yeah.
Right. There's no redeeming value of it in any way, shape, or form. And unfortunately, it's not the only film like that this year for me. So, how do we want to do it? So, do we want to kind of like do a bad one, then a good one?
Sure.
And do it, and so not necessarily separate the 2 lists. All right, I'm going to have to take notes because we saw what happened with the end of year show.
Yeah.
So let me get a piece of paper here that I can keep track. And where's a pen? I have so much shit on my desk right now. I have so much going on right now. It is fucking insane.
All right, so what are we doing first? Worst?
Let's start with. We'll count down, obviously 6 to 1. We'll do our 6 worst, and then our 6 best, 5 worst, 5 best, so on and so forth. So I'm going to make a list here: best, worst, and we are currently at number 6 for our 6th worst. And I will allow you to go first. So again, these are all films that we did featured reviews on the show. So not like. We casually discussed, I saw
Godzilla,
Guardians of the Galaxy this weekend or whatever. It's stuff that is legitimately full-fledged reviews in, like the title of the show and stuff like that. So, Chris, what was the 6th worst film that you watched this year?
Well, to preface my list, my number 2 and number 1 are set. Like, no fucking doubt. And you could actually switch order, but I did number them 1 and 2. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 11 on my bad list of things that I absolutely remember. Because if I couldn't remember all of it, did I really hate it that much?
Right.
So I'm going to start with something. Oh, shit, that's new. Never mind. All right, fuck it. I'm going to go with this one that we did just last week. I'm going to go with Extraterrestrial.
On your worst list, okay.
It's the Vicious Brothers. It's the people that did Grave Encounters. I love Grave Encounters. What are we talking? Like 9/10 of Grave Encounters. As I will always say, I skipped the first 20 minutes of school shit in part 2 because it's gross. A lot of homophobia and stuff in there that like taints your view of the character. Anyway, that's not this movie. Extraterrestrial is a bunch of angry dickheads in the woods that get killed by aliens. And I am really tired of the unsympathetic main characters. They're called bad guys.
Yeah.
They're called bad guys. And just because they're bad guys and they're assholes doesn't mean I want to see them, crushed up into a little ball and spit out of a spaceship or whatever happened. I know what happened. I'm just, but it was just, there was a feeling of anger in this that I couldn't get on board with. I did like the aliens. I like the idea, but I mean, it's fairly generic. Alien ship crashes in the woods, government cover up, bing bang boom. And then the ending just made me want to puke. So fucking schmaltzy and sticky sweet. No. We talked about the ending on the show and how it should.
We did.
How I feel it should have ended. I didn't make it. I'm just saying this is what I would have liked. But whatever. Yeah. It looks good.
I disliked it. I don't think I disliked it nearly as much as you now that I'm thinking about it. I think at the time it sounded like I hated it more, but there's so many other things.
I can't tell if it's disappointment or if it's just straight up I don't like this at all because the characters are dicks.
Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, that's all I got on that one.
Number 6 on my worst films we reviewed this year. We're going to take a travel back to 1979 New York. This film was one that just I don't know what like it. I don't know where it came from. I don't know who thought it was a good idea. It says 1979, but watching it, it looks like it was filmed probably in like the mid 60s. 1979's Punk Rock is my number 6. Starring Wade Nichols and Robert Kerman. What a pile of garbage. Like, just like, I get they're trying to like buy in on the like punk rock thing in New York City in the late 70s, but like it just, none of it works. The film is called Punk Rock, but it's actually like a detective story about like a detective or a private investigator. I don't even remember. Like basically like searching for like kidnapped girls or whatever, kidnapped teenage girls that are being forced to work in like massage parlors and like all that fun stuff, being turned into sex slaves and the pimps. And plus there's a rock and roll band that's supposedly like involved in it. And all the characters are just like pointless. Everybody's got a mustache, and here's the thing. I love sleazy 70s cinema, and there will be sleazy 70s cinema on my top 6, but this is just such an inept piece of work that like, there's just parts where like people are having sex and like somebody just like walks into the room randomly and just kind of like stands there and you're like, okay, why is that guy standing there now? And then they just like walk away.
It sounds like just a giant misunderstanding of what the whole scene and lifestyle was.
Yeah, and it very much came across as, well, this punk rock thing is getting hot. We're going to call this movie Punk Rock, but the movie really doesn't have anything to do with it. Yeah,
because that scene you described is more like you'd expect to see in a hippie kind of thing.
Well, yeah, and the thing too is like as you watch it, it feels like a porno. like it's got that feeling. And if I'm not mistaken, the director Carter Stevens, like he did a lot of like adult films. Like that was like his thing.
That's right. Yeah.
Pornographer Carter Stevens, born Malcolm Stephen Warm, rates highly as one of the true founding fathers of 1970s American East Coast adult cinema. So there you go. He studied photography in Rochester. Porno. Yeah, that makes sense. It feels like a porno because it was made by a porno guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, my number 6, punk rock with an exclamation point.
Yeah.
If you would like to murder your soul and hurt your eyes, you can watch it on Tubi. All right, Chris, number 6 on your best of the year list.
Okay. I'm going to have to go with... Oh, I put this on my list twice, so I guess I should definitely have this here. Let me just make a notation. Best
Notation.
6 - I am going to go with Honeymoon.
Okay.
Honeymoon is about a guy that marries a woman, and
Also from last week's show.
yeah, that is
Or 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago.
But
Sorry,
the
2 weeks
10
ago.
years old. 10 years old.
No, no,
I
yeah. No, absolutely.
I did suggest Honeymoon because I've watched it at least twice, and it's one of those doppelganger, identity, alien, maybe demon in the woods kind of things. But the woman that does the role of the wife there, she knows what she's doing. She understands the double personality that she has to keep in her head, and I think she came off fairly believable. The dude, not so much. His decisions were kind of dumb, but overall, I really liked the progression and the whole horror aspect of, do you really know this person?
Yeah.
So I think this was the 3rd time I've seen it. So, I mean, if I've watched it that many times and then wanted to cover it on the show, I got to put it on the list. So
Fair.
yeah, that one was all
Fair.
right. The end is a little intense and a little bit gross, so there is a tiny bit of body horror in there for you. So if you don't like that, fuck off. No, I'm kidding.
Fair enough.
I'm kidding.
Fair? No, I think that's fair. If you don't like it, you can fuck off. That's fair. All right. My number 6 on my favorites of the stuff that we covered this year. We do a lot of found footage and POV horror and all that stuff on the show. And a large number of it is garbage. And we'll talk about some of that when we get back to the bad list. But my number 6 is actually one that I found I really enjoyed and liked it far more than expected. And that was 2013's Final Prayer, also known under the title The Borderlands.
Oh, yeah.
This was Elliot Goldner, director and writer. Basically, it's a team of Vatican investigators that go to this this old school church in, this remote area. There's been all these weird things going on. And they're there to try to figure it out, And then when they kind of start to peel back the layers of the mystery, it is actually pretty fucking smart and pretty good. What I liked about this in comparison to so many other garbage found footage films is everything felt like there was being done for a reason.
Yeah, it's an investigation, so you have to film everything.
It's an investigation, yeah, exactly. So I did have some major issues with the end of the film. I didn't particularly like the way it kind of closed itself out, but kind of upon, looking back, we did it probably 4 or 5 months ago, that I think more works than doesn't work, and there's some really, really effective stuff going on that I think makes it worth watching.
I think the end went too physical and literal instead of because at the end, spoilers, the people they're crawling through this tunnel under the church, and it reminded me of As Above, So Below, where they get to the door, and she says that they were made to crawl on their bellies like snakes. And I thought that's what's going on, and they're burning and melting because they're in hell instead of, again, spoilers, instead of inside the stomach tract of some giant monster or demon, which is what I got out of it. I don't know. I would have liked it a little more symbolic, maybe a little less definitive, but the rest of it was acted fantastic.
Yeah, the literal crawling into the gates of hell, just like
I'd be okay if it was like if they swapped over into a different dimension and humans can't survive there. That'd be fine.
Agreed.
I would like to cover on the show Savage Land at some point.
Oh yeah, I think I have that saved on a list somewhere.
Good. I've seen that about 6 times, so we could do it now if you had seen it. Anyway, yeah, I agree with you. That's a good one.
Cool. All right, your number 5.
All right.
Worst films from the last year. Worst.
I have this written down. I'll give you the description. It's from 1979. It's rated PG. It's an ungodly hour and 26 minutes long. It feels like 6 days. Directed by Don Kessler. People go dynamite fishing in a rural swamp because, you got to look out for those urban swamps.
Yep.
And they revive a prehistoric quote-unquote gill monster that must have the blood of human females in order to survive. First of all, Bog, the movie. I love your poster with the fisheye lens. Your text...
Poster's the best thing about that
and
movie.
the title font is great, except Bog is in quotes on the poster. You don't have to do that. You don't. This is probably made with the best of intentions and a level of sincerity that I'm not giving it credit for, which I usually do. But it was unwatchable. It was just, ugh. I can't say, I don't have much. I was watching the trailer muted here just to refresh my memory, and it's like there's a bunch of old people in this movie that are just doing.
Yeah.
It looked like a filler. This felt like a filler movie. Like, hey, what are we gonna do in between jobs? Jerry's got this green suit. Let's do that.
Yeah, it's not good. It missed my list.
Yeah.
Because I'm a sucker for horror from that time period, and it is.
No, I like horror from back then too, but not
Crazy.
this one.
All right, my number 5 worst films we reviewed last year. We said some good stuff about some found footage, and then my number 5 here is the prime example of what not to do with it. And what don't you do with it is you don't try to create like a movie that's a narrative and then bring in your footage and try to like show it all off. So my number 5 worst film of the year, 2013's The Lavenger Tapes.
Oh.
And if I could remind everyone about this movie, basically you have these 3 college students. They're like on a wilderness like getaway for the weekend or whatever, and like 2 of them disappear, and then like the cops are trying to figure out what happened. So this film does what so many bad found footage horror movies do, is they think they're smart because they're like, well, we're going to intercut the found footage into the film. And then go back and forth from like the narrative of the detectives trying to figure out what's going on, them reviewing the footage, and it just turns into a mess because you're not able to figure out exactly what is happening, where, what time period. And then like a lot of the footage looks like it's been edited already, and like it breaks all of its rules. And I get that what they were trying to do was bring the narrative storytelling into it so that they didn't have to follow any of those rules.
Okay.
But the problem is that like it just all completely falls apart. None of it makes any sense. It's badly acted. It's horribly written. It doesn't, it looks cheap, which for this type of movie, if you're going to show your found footage can look cheap, but then you're going to switch to your narrative stuff, and your narrative stuff can't look like as cheap as the found footage stuff. You know what I mean?
I absolutely agree with you. And just as a bitchy nitpick, I hate the poster. It's so
Poster's
generic.
terrible.
It doesn't tell you a guy. It looks like an alien abduction movie the way that the thing's set up. Also, there's can we as a society just learn how blood splatters and gets on stuff instead of just putting it on everything with no rhyme or reason?
No, obviously we can't.
Okay.
Anyway, so yeah, the Lavenger Tapes. If you want to ruin a night, you can watch it on Freevee or the Roku channel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Now we are back to best. Chris, number 5.
I have to type this title in. Oh,
Dude.
good. I only had to do 3 words of the 20 that are in the title. This one I wasn't sure about, and I wasn't sure about this even halfway through the movie, and I wasn't sure about it until I sat down to do this list. This has a very long title,
Okay.
but it's really interesting. The movie is Tomorrow I'll Wake Up and Scald Myself with Tea.
Oh, yeah. Patreon pick.
Jan is a decent, boring man living a decent, boring life as a rocket designer. When his adventurous twin brother dies in a breakfast accident, Jan decides to impersonate him, unwittingly becoming part of a Nazi time travel conspiracy. So, yes, this was made in the 70s because Nazis. I mean, that's the truth. But it wasn't one of those movies where it's like, hey, I got this idea, and then only the writer or only the director really has a grasp on what is happening. It could be confusing. It could be just scattered, but I feel like they really, really worked to do a really good job keeping it consistent and playing within its own world's rules. So... Yeah. The director, Jindrix Polak, did a couple other things, probably stuff that we would cover. But I mean, he does crime and thriller stuff mostly. It looks like the Skywriters. No, this one's a fantasy family comedy one. The Visitors. Different movie than the Strangers because it's a different title. So that's I just thought of that connection. Anyway, it doesn't make sense. I just woke up, everybody. So
it's fair. It's fair. All right. Well, we'll do.
I will say one thing though. The time, quote unquote, time machine thing. Pretty decent model. Pretty decent set piece too out there in the woods. That was nice. Yeah.
Wait, what movie? What are we talking about?
I'll wake up and scald myself with tea. Remember there was the capsule?
I was confusing it with something else for a minute. No, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. All right. My number 5 best of the year. A film that I think at the time I might have ragged on a little bit, but for some reason it stuck with me. I still feel like it's kind of ridiculous and silly in some spots, but a lot of that might be the time period too. Going back to 1963. Directed by James Landis, written by James Landis, The Sadist. 3 people driving into Los Angeles for a Dodgers game have car troubles and pull off into an old wrecking yard where they are held at bay by a bloodthirsty psycho and his crazy girlfriend, played by Archie Hall, and she's not listed here. Oh, Marilyn Manning. Sorry. So anyway, The Sadist is a simple story of exactly what you heard there. These guys are, taking a trip. They're going to a Dodgers game. They have car trouble, and this guy's, been running from the law and his girlfriend. And it's what really makes it memorable is Arch Hall Jr.'s portrayal of what was his name? Charlie, I think was his name. Wasn't it?
I think so.
This is an incredible portrayal of this just like completely, absolutely unhinged, like psychotic dude that is just ridiculous. And I also love that the guy that's supposed to be the male lead basically comes off like a chump now, like because you watch this movie now and his 1963 bravado actually just makes him look like a chump. And the female, why did I say it like that? The female lead, Helen Hovey plays Doris, and she actually comes off really strong in this. And it's kind of interesting to watch that now, however many, 80 years later or whatever. The Sadist, I think, is good. I think it's silly in like it's like exploitation filmmaking style of that time period, but I think it's really kind of a cool little piece when you watch it. So. You can watch it on Plex and Tubi for free. Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Number four on the worst list.
All right. So, what year was that? So I'm looking through the list of shit that I wrote down, right? And I have something. Where did it go? Oh no, I was looking through two different. I mashed two titles together. I meant to type in something else before I can be sure. Because what I do, I don't know. You probably do the same thing. Is you write a bunch of stuff down. You go through the list, and you're like, I remember that. This is where these go, and then I have to remember what they're about when we sit down and do this.
Yeah, no, I'm there with you, man.
So I have enough here to do a 10, like definitive, like I know these were the worst ones. So I'm trying to go through and weed out some of them because my 1 and 2,
right.
No contest. So yeah, this one wasn't as bad. I was gonna put this one on here, but I don't feel quite as bad about that one as I do about Nightmare Weekend.
Oh yeah, Nightmare Weekend sucked.
Yeah, a female scientist performs experiments on 3 college girls that turn them into drooling, murderous mutants. The poster is straight out of shit. What's that? Forbidden Zone. It's
oh
like,
yeah.
Vamping on that. Directed by Henry Sala and stars Debbie Laster, Dale Midkiff, Deborah Hunter, and I think the second RoboCop, Robert John Burke. Let me just go through there and double click on this dude's name. Yes, he was a RoboCop. He was also in The Thinner.
Thinner.
Yeah. He did a good job in that, but I mean, fat suit and skinny makeup doesn't really. It just buried his performance. Anyway, so yeah, Nightmare Weekend is definitely like a throwaway. It wouldn't even be a USA Up All Night kind of thing. I can't imagine where that would show except like whatever ripoff of Showtime we had back then. Like Cinemax wouldn't even.
Well,
have
I mean,
touched it.
the director Henry, what's his name? Henry Salvo, whatever his name is. You know, I'm pretty sure he's an Italian guy, and like it's very much like an Italian director trying to make a mid '80s low budget American horror.
Born
movie.
in France. Close enough.
Oh yeah. Sorry, France.
It's close enough. They're right
whatever.
next to each other.
No, but not when we're talking movies because it's very the Italian filmmaker is very different than the French filmmaker.
I'm just messing around. I do not recommend this movie. It's awful. It's
I do
thrown together is how it feels. Just all right. We got some sets. Let's fucking do something. Here we go.
Recommend this movie. I do not.
All right. So I gotta make a correction here.
All right. While you do that, I will do my number 4 worst. Again, the year 2013 gave us garbage. James P. Mercurio, you should be ashamed of yourself for making a film called Last Girl. Kidnapped and tortured, elite call girl number 12 must overcome her attackers and fight through a post-industrial hell to avoid the brutal filming of her own death. Last Girl builds to a shattering conclusion you won't soon forget. I don't remember it. Previously available only in the Detroit Underground, Renegade Video brings the extreme vision of filmmaker George Cripp to a mainstream audience for the first time, and I'm pretty sure that's the in film director because it is found footage. It is found footage, right?
Yeah, Peter Nichols played him.
Yeah, so they basically created it to be like it's this real movie, and again, terribly written, terribly acted.
Isn't the poster a rip on The Hills Have Eyes too? With the arm,
it's like just this
pushing the
Last
head
Girl
down.
in the very common bloody type font, and it says she's dying to please you.
But I remember seeing the remakes of parts 1 and 2 of the Hills Have Eyes, and I swear there was an arm foremost in it pushing the girl's head to the side or something.
Well, I'm looking at it now, and it's her like looking at the camera running away. So she definitely has like an arm in there, but it's not.
Oh, is that her
not
arm?
somebody else's.
Oh, that's worse. I liked my version. Okay.
So
yeah.
So we watch this because we watch a lot of bad found footage movies. It does that thing where, you know, They break all their own rules that they set. And it's worst thing about it is it's just boring.
Yeah.
Like it's just boring. They don't even there's no gore in it. There's no real jump scares. They try to make it titillating in that way of like, the like snuff, like, what the hell's like Hostel type, like porno gore stuff, like, but they don't ever act, but they don't go far enough with it, but yet they think it's like this really hard, nasty movie. And it's just not.
Right.
And it's just boring. It's just boring. Last Girl is terrible. If you would like to have a really terrible date night with someone, you can watch it on Tubi.
I don't recommend that, though.
Wow. No, I don't recommend it either. Wow. Yeah, that movie's terrible. Let's talk about good ones. Number 4, best you watched this year, Chris.
All right. So I'm running out of ones in my best section here.
Yeah, they're few and far between this year.
I gotta call this one up just so I can be sure that I get everything right. This one I saw in a YouTube video of like best found footage or documentary style things, and this is along the lines of Ghostwatch, and there was another one before Ghostwatch that I can't remember the name of. I just watched something about it last night, but this is a television mockumentary concerning conspiracies. It was compared to War of the Worlds, as both were science fiction programs, not intended to alarm the public, but were misinterpreted as legitimate. Alternative 3.
Oh, yeah.
It's only 52 minutes because it was for TV. Oh, hey, and Brian Eno did the music.
Of my life.
It's, the premise purported to be an investigation into the UK's contemporary, quote, brain drain. Alternative 3 describes a plan to make the moon and Mars habitable in the event of climate change and environmental catastrophe on Earth. So it's almost science fiction, because I could see that being something that people have actually discussed. Because the people have discussed making Mars habitable. Right. It was originally aired on April Fool's Day, 1977. If I'm reading this correctly, it was meant to be aired on April Fool's Day, which would have helped it along as a mockumentary, but it was delayed until June 20th.
Ew.
And it ended with credits for the actors and the production, and featured interviews with the fictitious astronauts that were in it. But people took it as real, and because of that, I like it more. Because it fooled people. Something obvious, and I can't say obviously fake because I was only 5 at the time, so I have no idea what people were believing at the time. UFOs were a big thing then, so yeah, no, I could see how that's believable. It's definitely a 1970s TV movie special thing. The quality is a little bit worse than like visual quality is a little bit worse than the copies of Ghostwatch that are out there, but it fits the era. It was interesting. It was definitely an interesting idea. They took a chance with the TV show, and we're still talking about it, so good job.
I mean, we were the only ones.
Well, somebody on YouTube had to tell me about it, so there's 2 people at least.
Yeah, but like 10 years ago, I have to sneeze, and it's like, well, it just won't come.
No.
See my eyes getting all watery?
Yep, I can tell.
All right, my number 4 best. 2009, one that I believe we revisited it this year. We go to Small Town, Australia, was it?
Yeah.
Small Town, Australia.
It's not the Wubba, but it's
not
close.
Not backwoods Australia.
No, not the Dust Bowl parts.
But my number 4 favorite of the year was The Loved Ones, which we revisited. It held up very well, I felt. I think Robin McLeavy, who plays the princess character, it's very effective in the way that they present this. And I really enjoyed rewatching it actually, and I don't remember what I said about at the time, and that's one of the good things about being able to kind of do this list at the end of the year, because how you feel about something initially upon watching it, and given 6, 7, 8 months of time with it and how it affects you can completely change it. I'm pretty sure that I gave it a pretty favorable review when we did it, but yeah. So Princess is this character she's just nuts. And her family and her dad, they play into it, and she basically has a crush on a kid at school, and she wants him to go to the prom with her, and he says no. So her dad kidnaps him and brings him to the house, and they're gonna have their own prom there, and
Yeah.
things go poorly from there on.
Well, for one person. Well, yeah. Mostly.
No, it ends up poorly.
Mostly
for
for one person, though.
Yeah, it ends up poorly for everybody at the end of it, but I think Robin McLeavy, who we've seen in a number of things since then. I think she was in Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter.
Okay.
Looks like she was in Wolf Like Me for some episodes of Homeland. But she's great.
Yeah.
Super believable. I love when like the dad like questions her, and she like goes from like being all sweet and like nice and like turns on him, and she does a really great job. And 2009 was actually a really good year for like these kind of smarter, independent, psychological type horror movies, and this kind of falls really well into that mold from that time period. So, The Loved Ones is great. Paramount Plus is where you can watch it in the States. Obviously available on like Prime and like Amazon and all those places too. So, number 4 for my best is Loved Ones. Chris, number 3, worst thing you watched
Number 3,
this past year.
absolutely hands down, one of the worst pieces of shit I've seen since we've started doing this show.
Ooh.
R100.
R100. Which one was that? Was the Japanese
There's the dude that
like,
likes to get his dick beat randomly and by surprise.
Oh yeah, man, that movie. Not on my list.
Shock for shock's sake. That's it.
Yeah.
It was well done. It was well filmed and acted, but fuck that. Like it's just aggressive and angry to get a rise out of people. I mean, it really does feel like I don't know. Talking about this movie makes me sad because
It makes me sad.
because it's just I don't understand why did you need to make that? Like this is the same as like 245 or whatever the fuck it is, Pinocchio, about the sex robot that couldn't work and went out into, and Rubber's Lover. Like, okay, I get it, but it's that those are more experimental type of things, especially Rubber's Lover, that fucking weird piece of shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't like the actor. I hated his fucking smile. I don't think you're supposed to like anything about it at all, because it says that no one under 100 will be admitted. Well, that's not how you rate it. It's not R100. It would be NC 100.
Right. This was the one too. Whenever he like felt pleasure, like his eyes got really big and anime like, and he would like smile, and everything would get like soft and focus.
Yeah, and you could
terrible.
tell he's having an orgasm.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck
Yeah.
that. Really hated
Not
this
good.
movie.
Not good.
And it's only an hour and 39 minutes, and like it felt like I'm still watching it. Because I'm looking at the trailer right now.
Fair enough, man.
Hated,
Fair enough.
absolutely hated this movie. But it was made well. I'll say something nice about it. It was made well.
Fair.
But fuck that.
All right, so my number 3 worst of the year. So this is one of the. I'm putting this on the worst list, but I actually think if I remember properly, I actually recommended to watch it because it's one of those ones where like it's just so bad and so stupid, but like it kind of has some redeeming qualities to it. It's 1986's, directed by Joseph Manduke, starring the one and only Ken Wall, Omega Syndrome.
I skipped right over that because I couldn't remember what it was about.
Yeah, XGI's daughter is abducted by a gang of white supremacists. He calls on one of his former army buddies, and together they set out to track down the gang and rescue his daughter. It's all just so like wimpy. Like they're supposed to like they're like these like neo-Nazis, but like they're just like toothless and like don't really do anything. And like it's one of those ones too where like the guy on the cover of it is like this dude wearing like a black leather gimp mask and like he's like holding this futuristic gun, none of which plays into the story in any way, shape, or form. Ken Wall is barely believable as an ex-army guy. Nicole Eggert plays his daughter, and she's actually the most believable thing in the whole movie. It's poorly written, it's poorly acted, but in this weird sort of way, it's kind of fun to watch it because it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And the whole like big thing at the end of it, when they're like, you know, Ken Wall and his buddy like storm the white supremacist house or like
we'll say
whatever it's supposed to
complex.
be.
That's what supremacists have, right? They have complexes.
I mean, they do things in this movie where they're trying to torture a guy for information. They do the thing where they literally drop like a rubber tire over him to hold him from getting away.
Yeah.
Like, it's so stupid. Oh, it's so dumb. But
yeah.
it's kind of a fun watch, but it's so bad. It's so bad.
Yeah.
Yes, so my number 3 worst is Omega Syndrome. You can watch it on Plex. All right, Chris, number 3 best.
Number 3 best. I'm going to go with a remake or a reboot or whatever because we covered this one for real this time along with its sequel, which is not on my list because it was recent. And I'm going to go with 2012 or 13, whatever it is, Evil Dead. I really like that version of the story. Jane Levy, I thought was great in the main Ash Campbell role, but it delivered what the original wanted to do, but it didn't have the budget. Like it was gory, it was uncomfortable, but the story was solid. The curse that comes out, it made sense how it happened. You get a little prologue with some really nice violence, and then that was great. It was just fun all around. There's a few things I wish it did a little different because of like how they set up the drug addiction and stuff, but whatever. It was released on April 5th, which is my birthday, so I got to see it in theater on my birthday, which was nice. I always like that. And yeah, I just had fun with it. I've probably seen it about 6 or 7 times now.
Jesus.
It's with the way my brain works, I go to comforting stuff or familiar things, and sometimes it's that. A lot of times it's that CG version Gantz Zero, which I highly recommend, and we should cover that because I think it's fantastic CG anime, if that makes sense. Like I watch it at least once or twice a year, and I'm probably, now that I fucking brought it up, I'm gonna have to go watch it today.
Fair.
So
Fair.
Anyway, yeah. So Evil Dead. I never thought an Evil Dead movie would make a best of list like that for me, but there you go. She was great.
Right.
She was absolutely great.
All right. Not on my list.
I could see that.
Yeah. So my number 3 best of the year, in the 15 plus years we've done the show, we've covered pretty much all of the go-tos, like all the classics. And I don't think this is one we covered this year, I think because somebody in the Patreon wanted us to cover it. And I don't think we had ever actually covered it. And it's a classic, and I feel like it kind of needs a place on this list just because if we're going to do the list justice, it doesn't make sense to cut it out because it fits all the criteria. So my number 3 is the Canadian slasher classic, 1981's My Bloody Valentine.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, there's really not a whole lot for me to say about this because it is it's a certified classic at this point, but it does all of those things great. It's inherently Canadian too, which also makes it feel different.
Yeah, it's got a different kind of charm to it when it's
and it's just the idea of the killer, the story behind it, like all of the little nuances that they do in it. It just works really well and it really holds up. And if you're like into 80s slasher films, like it should be on that list. I mean, this wasn't the first time I'd seen this movie in it by like even close, but it definitely is holds up and it deserves its spot. So I'm going to put it at number 3.
Nice.
favorites from the past year.
Nice.
So we're at number 2.
Number 2.
So I need you to wax poetic for a moment because I have to pee and I'm not going to be able to wait, but I don't want to stop recording.
Okay, good.
So,
then when that happens, we'll switch, and I will.
and you will.
I'll talk about some of the best movies that didn't make my list. How about that?
All right, cool.
Okay.
I'll be back in a second.
So here are some of the best movies that didn't make my list. Let's see. Because Bill had the loved ones, I'm going to skip that. We kind of do that if it's every now and then just to keep the list a little more diverse. Let's see. That's nope. So I did have Bad Milo in a place on my list, but it got bumped off by a couple other things that you'll see. One that if anybody's been paying attention to the stuff that we covered would know that it's my favorite in the series because of the fact that the main character's offspring shows up and it's absolutely adorable. Godzilla versus Space Godzilla is not on my list, but it would have been if we had a top 10. We left off stuff from last year that we covered, like They Cloned Tyrone. We left They Cloned Tyrone off because we just gushed about it not that long ago.
Yep. It was my number 1 for the year last year.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. It was on the top 10. That's when we were really talking about. So yeah, I was telling everybody that I left off stuff like obvious things to make room for other stuff. So Godzilla versus Space Godzilla, not on my list because y'all should know.
And it's really not. I mean, it's not that good.
Yeah. Oh, come on.
It's solid, but in like the Godzilla world, it's very mid.
It is, but I like it because the redesign of Little Godzilla is it's the best thing I've ever seen. I love that version of Baby Godzilla. And Space Godzilla, while it sounds stupid, they actually made him a credible, scary villain in the movie. I like the design. It was interesting. Anyway, so yeah, that's that I just filled time. So
that's fair. So you didn't say your number 2 worst yet?
No.
All right, well, let's do that now. Then.
My number 2 worst, I said when we recorded this episode that it will be on my top 10 worst, top 6 worst of the year. I thought it was going to be number 1, but then I remembered another movie that I said would be the worst movie, and I have to.
Oh, I already know what your number 1 is.
I have to stick to it. I saw a YouTube video talking about this, saying that it was one of the best versions of this person's work ever put on film. And I instantly blocked that person from my life because Suitable Flesh is a horrid piece of shit. Putting Lovecraft's name on it is an insult to that racist motherfucker.
Oh, so is this your pick?
Yeah.
Even though it's a 2023 movie?
I don't care.
All right.
I don't care. That's how much I hated it.
All right. No, go for it.
Fucking awful. Because I'm not going to remember it in 10 years. So I need to go off a little bit here. I love Barbara Crampton. She found a niche. She found a place for herself in the movie industry. And she plays the parts really well. This movie, though, garbage. Absolute fucking garbage. You tell me you're going to do a body swap movie and you're going to make it confusing for the people watching? You're not going to do inner monologue so we know who's inside what body at what time? It was just, this thing was a fucking mess. And it was just softcore porn. That's it. That's all. But you know what? If you want me to do an older one, I could do that too, because
no. That's you don't have to.
No. I can twofer this one with The Divine Enforcer.
Oh, I love The Divine Enforcer. It wasn't on my list, but I actually really enjoyed it because it was so stupid.
It skims my good and bad. I have best, worst, and good and bad, and it's right there in the good and bad. But Divine Enforcer is an inept movie. It is poorly made,
terribly,
but it's hilarious. So. There you go. You can take the new one. You can take the old one. Doesn't matter.
All right.
I'm going to grab a drink, so I'll be right back.
Sticking with your softcore porn picks, my number 2 is Pamela Anderson's Snapdragon.
Oh, shit. I forgot we did that. Ugh.
Yeah. No, I didn't.
Oh, 1 second. I'll be right back.
All right, do your thing. So yeah, so Snapdragon 1993. This was directed by Worth Keeter, who Worth Keeter worked on, strangely enough, a bunch of like Power Rangers episodes, and then he started doing like the Silk Stocking show, and he's just a director that ended up trying to like do like low key smut. And so Snapdragon essentially was their attempt to make Pamela Anderson a movie star. The problem was they forgot to write the script, and then basically like make the story so they didn't write the script and then made the story super convoluted. So like you couldn't even understand it. There's like ends up being like twin sisters at the end of it, and like did the right person like die, and like who's who, and again like the whole idea that like Pamela Anderson is so hot that you're literally going to just throw away everything in your life to maybe have a chance to sleep with her. Like I get it. I get the time period. I get the idea of the direct-to-video stuff. And it's a shame because like Chelsea Field is in this, and she's been in a number of good things. She was like in Commando and The Last Boy Scout, and she was Teela in Masters of the Universe. So like
I like her.
She she's paid her dues, and she's on I think like one of the NCIS or CSI shows or whatever now too, and like it's just so. And her character is just such a fucking idiot. She's supposed to be the detective wife of the other like doctor psychiatrist guy who ends up messing around with Pamela Anderson, and it's just so bad. And the whole time I feel like they're just like, well, here's Pamela Anderson naked.
Yeah.
And you're like supposed to forgive everything else because they show off Pamela Anderson naked. And let's be honest, at this time period she had done Playboy and a couple times, and if you wanted to see Pamela Anderson naked, it wasn't like a thing.
Yeah.
So like, I'm like, your one thing that you're offering us, we can get it somewhere else and not have to deal with the other 90 minutes of bullshit that are going to come along with it.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. This may come off sounding bad, but
that's fair.
I understand plastic surgery. I understand why it's done. I also understand that you can not overdose on it, but you can go too far.
Well, body dysmorphia becomes a big part
It's
of
a
that.
huge problem, yeah. I liked how Pam Anderson looked before all this stuff. I thought she just looked really genuine and cute. And I don't like the plasticky version.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I don't have any problems with Pam Anderson.
No,
and
no.
That documentary she made last
Except
year
for her PETA
Netflix
shit, but
well, yeah.
PETA. Anyway, yeah.
But like her documentary that she did for Netflix last year was very good.
Oh yeah, she was fucked over.
She got screwed over. So like if you ever watch the Pam and Tommy series on Hulu, like they screwed her over in that. But I thought that series was actually very well done for what it was.
Sebastian Stan was surprisingly good.
Yeah, agreed.
I didn't expect that. Yeah.
So Snapdragon is garbage. You can watch it on Plex and Tubi. I mean, if you really really need to see Pamela Anderson naked, like I guess there's your shot.
Yeah, I mean, you're watching it through the internet anyway, so you have the internet. Go look.
Yeah. So, all right, we're at number 2, best of the year.
Number
Chris.
2, best. I'm just calling this one up here to make sure I got it right because it does not star Sam Neill. It does not star Sam Neill. Let me say that again. Sam Neill is not in this movie. It's Colin Friels, and it's the 1986 film Malcolm.
Did not make my list, but yeah, it was good.
There's so much and so little happening in this movie at the same time.
Yeah.
It's basically the story about an innocent person, because I'm not going to guess on his mental level of whatever, because he's just a genuinely nice, trusting person who falls in with maybe some bad people. They're not really bad people. They're just kind of shitty people.
No, they're bad people. They're criminals.
Yeah, I know.
They're criminals that are fucking people over and stealing stuff.
Yeah, but they're not evil. They have bad intentions, but they do that. No, it's been a little bit. The details.
Good try though. I appreciate the effort.
Yeah, eventually they come around to him, and they. But it's the story of this dude that likes trains, Oh shit, is he autistic?
The actor?
No, because if it's about trains and he doesn't really fit in with society. I wonder. Trains is like kind of a joke shorthand for it, but
Right. I know what you're saying.
but yeah, it's kind of sweet. It's kind of tense because you really do end up caring about him. And then when you get to the climax and you see what's happened, you're like, oh yeah, good for him. That's pretty clever.
Yeah, it was decent.
It was,
movie, man. I
yeah,
liked
it surprised me. It did not go where I thought it was going to go, and that's a huge plus because, like, I'm tired of knowing how everything's going to end.
It's fair. It's fair, man. It's fair.
That's all I got on that. I can't
Cool.
talk
All right.
more
Well,
about
my
it
number
'cause I'll
two then.
ruin
My
it.
number two favorite of the year. One that came in our Patreon picks. I don't remember exactly what I said about it at the time. I'm pretty sure that I liked it at the time, but I definitely, looking back, understand its place in kind of like independent cinema and cult film cinema from the 1990s. And it is Takashi Kitano, or Beat Takashi Sonatin.
Oh yeah, I toyed with that.
Very interesting look at the Yakuza from Tokyo in this time period. Aging guys that are getting older, that are taking part, new people moving in. A lot of twists and turns. It's a little unclear as kind of things are going on in it, but overall, it's a very interesting look at like Japanese cinema from this time period, especially the kind of like loud, out of control, like post. I don't even necessarily if it's post. Is it post Pulp? What year was Pulp Fiction?
94, I want to say.
Okay, so this is just before that. So it's like kind of like the bubbling under of like independent cinema exploding into the mainstream.
It would have been after Reservoir Dogs, definitely. I could see that as
yeah.
an influence. Yeah,
But a lot of great, Japanese character actors in this, and a cool, just different look that you're not used to seeing. It's a much quieter Yakuza movie. There's some gunfights and some stuff in it, but like,
yeah,
it all works really well.
it still sets off all my anxiety alarms.
Exactly, yeah. And it almost makes it more anxiety driving because of how quiet it
When
is and when
Takashi,
things happen.
yeah. When Takashi is calm, that's when I'm the most nervous.
Right, exactly. It's classic Simpsons. Oh, but the little guy hasn't done anything yet.
That little guy is Takashi. I swear to God, it's got to be who they're referencing because fuck, that guy's scary.
Got to be.
He, and I just for anybody that may not know, he started off like in a comedy group.
Mhm.
Fucking weird, right?
Well, they brought back that Takashi's
I've been watching it.
Howling
Yeah.
Moving Cat. I haven't watched. Is it any good?
Well, if you're used to MXC and the goofy voiceovers, you're not going to like it as much. But I watched it to watch it as a game show to see how it originally was, and it's fun. I like it. I like most weird game shows like that.
You do.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah. I do.
Cool. So that's Sonatin is my number one. Not currently available on a lot of streaming services, but if you want to find out, you can find out. Okay,
Nice.
Chris. What was the worst thing we reviewed this year, according to you?
Well, the worst thing we reviewed this year was a movie that came out last year.
Right.
And that
Can I guess it? What your number one is?
Yeah, but I have another one. I have a backup that's 10 years. That is just as
Okay.
fucking bad. Okay? But go ahead.
Okay.
What is it? What is my number one that came out recently?
Oh, recently? I don't know about recently.
Oh, okay.
I was going to choose your 10-year-old one.
Oh, all right. So the other one is Night of the Hunted. About the woman.
Oh, wow. You hated it that much, huh?
You don't know how angry that fucking movie made me. Okay. So the thing is, you have a woman who's cheating on her husband, who's trying to have a baby with him, and she is trapped at a gas station in the middle of nowhere by a sniper who doesn't have a fucking stance on anything. So why the fuck is he doing any of this shit? Why did he pick her? What is happening? You cannot be a fence sitter when you're writing a fucking script. Pick a goddamn side.
Especially a script that is so politically motivated.
It is.
Like,
that's the thing that kills me. Like, don't be like fucking people I used to deal with in forums and be like, oh, I don't choose a side. Fuck you. You do. By not choosing a side, you picked a fucking side, you asshole. Sorry, that's like a 15-year-old thing that only a few people would know about. but it was in the podcast forums. People,
Oh, the podcast forums,
yeah,
man.
yeah, remember
Oh.
forums?
Nope.
People that fence sit on important issues and are like, oh, both sides are bad. No. One side is fucking degenerately awful. Is that a thing? I just made it a thing. And the other side is like ineptly like bumbling their shit. So anyway, Night of the Hunted can go fuck itself 6 times and die. What do you think the other one is?
I think your number one least favorite movie, worst film we reviewed of the year would be 1989's Arabella Black Angel.
Oh, no.
No?
No.
Oh.
Fucking Girl House.
Girl House. Oh,
Fucking
Girl
Piece
House.
of shit. Arabella?
I had already forgot about Girl House. We just reviewed it like 3 weeks ago.
I know, right? Arabella, I remember I didn't like it, but I couldn't remember why without looking it up.
Because of all the rape and like needless
I put it right out of my
sexual
head.
assault stuff.
But Girl
That
House
was-
is just, it's a movie about cam girls with almost no nudity.
oh, yeah, it's bad. Yeah, I forgot. I literally forgot about it. We did it 3 weeks ago and I literally forgot about it.
We covered it this year.
Wow, yeah, Girl House was bad.
It was, I mean, okay, fine. You want to make a revenge movie or an angry incel type of fucking thing? Great. But the fucking guy's an IT guy fixing a rack with a goddamn crowbar. What the fuck is going on? And the dude's journey to being a bad guy is what? Some girls pulled his pants down. I've had my pants pulled down. I never killed anybody that you know of or knew. But like, it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to convince me that he's now going to be this hulking, bald, sweaty fuck in a basement that hates all women because one girl. And the other girl that escaped his wrath in the beginning isn't the girl that we're focusing on. It's just, she just left.
Yep.
This is a good example of go over your script twice.
Twice. Once.
Yeah.
Read it once.
Let somebody else read it. Just, it was, I know what it wanted to be, and it could have been interesting. Because they do talk a little bit about the perception of people that do cam shows and the people that watch them, and they try. They really do try, but they fail so hard.
Well, it came across as people that thought they were trying to celebrate sex workers and but honestly have no idea about that world.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just came across like they didn't know what they were talking about and the way that it was presented and how it was actually quite belittling. It was one of those it was like a backhanded compliment to girls that do cam work or online sex work or whatever it is they're trying to show.
Yeah.
It comes across like they have no idea what they're talking about and then ends up insulting them inadvertently, but it comes across insulting.
Yeah.
And then the girl that's the main girl is she's got a, they didn't mean to, but she's got this holier than thou. I'm only doing this because I have to pay my bills. And
Right.
it's
right. Like she's
these other girls are doing it
degrading
because
herself.
it's their job.
Yeah.
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 She's bringing herself down to their level.
Some people do it because they enjoy it.
Yeah. And you know what? Some people, it's, if they treat it as a job, it's their job. Good, fine, whatever.
Yeah, there are porn stars out there that can go do their job and then they come home to their husband or wife.
Yeah.
That's a thing. That's not my thing.
The lack of awareness in this movie is astounding.
Well, we're also talking the perception of sex workers 10 years ago.
It's, I think, worse now.
Yeah.
Because you got the guy that's the sniper from the other movie posting everywhere online about it.
Yeah. It felt insulting to everybody involved. And it's if you just want to make a movie where a dude kills a bunch of women with their boobs out, fucking make that movie. Have him
Right.
Have him get spurned as a writer for a Playboy knockoff, and he shows up at the goddamn STI infested grotto and starts killing people. That's more believable than this dude got his pants pulled down 20, 30 years ago and now he hates everybody. Well, no, I think
and then also the idea that he's this big, bulky, bumbling, murderer or whatever, but yet he's able to work his way into the house super easy, and then is able to take over all the control. It's that movie fucking sucks. I didn't put it on my list, but it's because I literally I'd forgot about it.
Yeah.
That movie fucking sucks.
And if we ever end this show and have the ability to do a top 25 that we and bottom 25 that we watch, this is a contender for the top 3, hands down.
Yeah. This would have been on my list had I thought about it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there you go.
All right. My number one worst film that we covered last year. It's Girl House. No.
It could be now.
It could be. No, my number one, again, this seems to come up every year because we do so much found footage horror movies, and they tend to be mostly pretty bad.
Yeah.
This is one of the worst. 2013's Dark Mountain.
Oh, I don't even have that written down. I got to look that up. Yeah.
March of 2011, 3 filmmakers disappeared into the Superstition Mountains of Arizona while documenting their search for the lost Dutchman mine. Their bodies were never found, but their camera was.
Okay.
Fuck you. Just, these guys are playing, they're looking for this mine and they're looking for this gold and they just meander around and then there's some weird sounds. But again, they do the worst thing you can do. The two worst things you can do, especially in a found footage horror movie. Number one, it's boring. And number two, you break all your own rules. It's this was the footage that they found, but yet somehow a lot of it is edited. Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone is professionally microphoned. Everyone, batteries never go dead, despite the fact that they're literally in the middle of the mountains.
Yeah.
Then the worst thing in this movie is that they cut in iPhone footage with Instagram or Snapchat filters that looks like 2013 Instagram or Snapchat filters.
Okay.
And it's just terrible.
I don't remember this that much at all. I'm looking at the trailer on IMDb here. I don't even recognize these people. I watched this, right?
Yeah, you watched it.
Holy shit.
But it's just, and it's the acting is terrible. The reactions to things are ridiculous. There's no explanation as to what's happening. They cut music in so that and that just drives me more insane than anything. And we've had a few recently where we know that we're being presented with a finished documentary style piece. But this one is just this is the footage that we found.
Huh.
Okay. It's terrible. Utterly, utterly terrible.
That's fair.
Maybe not as terrible as Girl House. I think it's really funny that each of us chose a number one worst that the other didn't really remember.
I know, huh? That says something about how good these movies are.
Yeah.
What's interesting is that the person that did this, Tara Anais, Anai with an umlaut SE, worked on Queer for Fear, the history of queer horror.
Yep. We discussed this at the time of when we.
We did.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, we did.
All right.
No, feel free to continue.
No, I don't remember at all. But also a movie called Housekeeping, which the poster looks just like the poster for Black Mountain, but with red lettering. I don't know. That's a thriller. So whatever. I don't remember this at all, but I trust you.
Yeah, it was bad. It was a real bad.
Yeah.
A real bad. But going from real bad to what the best was, Chris. Chris, what was your favorite movie that we reviewed last year?
Going through the list, what I do is I go through fast.
I think there's a chance that we may have the same number one.
Ooh, I don't know. Okay.
We may.
Okay.
We
So
may.
I go through the list and I write down the stuff that I absolutely remember one way. Oh, I still have the fucking Girl House IMDb page up. Let me close that because the fucking trailer's playing. I don't want to see any more of that. And I'll write stuff down and then I'll go back through and I'll be like, all right, I need more than these 6 I got to pick from. But this one I remembered we did, and it was the first one I wrote down. And it is hands down one of the best movies about these types of monsters.
Yeah, we have the same number one.
I don't know if it's as good as Byzantium, but Only Lovers Left Alive is hands down the best movie we covered all year. It looks
no question.
beautiful.
No question. It is also my number one.
Tilda Swinton's hair alone in this movie made me love it. And the fact that it is now canonically attached to What We Do in the Shadows is even funnier.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. This was great. It was what would happen if you're immortal? You'd get bored. You'd get so bored. You would get good at everything you want to get good at. And then fucking what do? This movie. And it's fantastic. Like I don't want to talk too much about it. I'll throw it over to you because I don't want to give too much away if in case anybody hasn't seen it. But I cannot recommend this highly enough. And I got to watch.
I feel like if anybody hasn't watched it since our review, like, were you listening? Both of us at the time, I think, gave it I think you gave it an A, and I think I gave it an A minus. And said at the time, I'm like, it's the closest thing that I've seen to an A this year.
Yeah.
It's excellent. I like Jim Jarmusch in general. I mean, he does so many like kind of weird out there things. There's a lot of music videos, but like, you know, Stranger Than Paradise is excellent. Broken Flowers is excellent.
I love, absolutely love,
really
one
good.
of my favorite movies of almost of all time is The Dead Don't Die. It's
The Dead Don't Die is good.
So odd. So odd. So just, and Bill Murray, you feel like Bill Murray in The Dead Don't Die is like there under protest, but just a little bit because of the meta fourth wall stuff they do. They talk about the script. It's just so both of those. I got to watch the rest of his stuff. I've been putting it off, but
even the weird Western that he did with Johnny Depp, Dead Man, is even really good.
yeah, I remember.
And I hate Johnny Depp, so
Yeah, well, back then he might have been all right.
no, even then,
But I think
But Only Lovers Left Alive is just it's a really special film because it really gives you this different look at the idea of what vampires are. And it presents them in this very like everyday, like this is their lives and this is what they do.
Yep.
And Tom Hiddleston is fucking excellent in it. He plays that like depressed, brooding musician so well. And even then like Mia Wasikowska is in it.
Oh,
and John Hurt too.
Yep.
The
The
Anton Yelchin
locations they
before he
shoot
passed
in
away,
is
yeah.
fantastic. Yeah. Oh, I miss him. He was good. He was a good guy.
I liked him. Jeffrey Wright, he's in it too.
Oh yeah.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
Great movie. It's a little slow and it's a slow burn.
But that's what it is. Their life
That's
is
what
just
and it's brilliant in the
slow.
way it churns itself out.
Yeah.
And Tilda Swinton is one of those actresses that when she shows up, like she's gonna do the most she can with even like a bad role. Like we need to talk about Kevin is the one that a lot of people talk about.
I've never
her.
seen that one.
Didn't we review it? I thought we reviewed it.
No. We can. That'll get me to watch it.
I feel like is it 10 years old yet? I feel like it maybe.
Oh God, it must be. Hold on.
Either way, but so she shows up in this though, and then she sometimes is given these roles.
Yeah, it was 2011.
2011. Okay, she's given these roles that she's able to, and it's going to sound stupid because it's a vampire movie. Really, just sink her teeth into, like,
No, yeah, I knew where you were going. Yeah,
be able to like really just kill it.
Yeah. Yeah.
She was in The Killer this past year too, and again, perfect. Perfect. She's great.
Yeah.
And Tom Hiddleston's another one that I think, because he's Loki and he's got the good kind of humor thing going and he's really great in that role and he's going to forever obviously be attached to that role.
Yeah.
But he's so good in this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Loved it. This is a great movie. It's one of the best ones we've probably ever done on the show. And, I graded it an A- at the time, and it's definitely an A now. Like it's like the standard. If you're talking vampire films, but you don't want blood and guts, fangs, it's the one you should watch.
Yeah.
This makes a perfect double bill with Let the Right One In, I think.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Or the other one, Byzantium. That was
Yeah, I only seen Byzantium once. I remember really enjoying it.
I need to watch it again, but it is definitely one of those contemplative, slow
I should
character movies.
definitely revisit that.
What's messed up to me is that Tilda Swinton her first acting job was in 1986. And I didn't see her. I'm just scrolling up. I didn't watch Vanilla Sky, but I didn't know who she was until 2005 when she played Gabriel in Constantine. That was the first time I saw her.
She's older now, isn't she? Like, she was born in what, 1960?
Scrolling. I don't know.
40, 50. So she's 64 years old.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah.
Well, she does not age.
No. She's fucking great, man.
Yeah.
She was awesome. I didn't particularly like the remake of Suspiria all that much, but she was fucking great in that. And she plays the voiceover in Snowpiercer, and she's fucking incredible in that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, she's fucking great. She's great. She was the only thing redeeming about Asteroid City.
I'm not even gonna. Yeah.
Dude, that movie, I know we didn't review it on the show, but that was easily the worst movie I saw of the year. I think I said this when we did the top 10. It was easily the worst movie I saw last year.
I've said before a lot that I don't go in for directors like with everything they do. Like I'm not interested in Del Toro's Pinocchio or what were you just what was it that you just said?
Asteroid City? Wes
Yeah.
Anderson?
I really like The Life Aquatic and Royal Tenenbaums, but not too much else that he's done. Right? That's Wes Anderson,
and I said this when we talked about the time. He has bought into his own fucking myth and basically is just like fellatiating everyone's fellatiating him based on they think that they're supposed to.
I mean, he has a great eye for composition. And he can write quirky dialogue, but that it doesn't always work.
Agreed.
But
it doesn't work at all now. The last like 3 things I've watched of his, I think they were all terrible.
Yeah.
Moonlight Sonata or Moonlight Kingdom? Moonlight Kingdom was the last thing
okay,
of his that I liked. I really liked that too. But everything since then I think has just been utter horseshit.
That's fair.
Riper and riper. So, okay, great. So those are our top and bottom 6 from the last year. We turn the page next week to start season 16 of OTC. And I guess we need to talk about Kevin because you've never seen it. And I will tell you right up front, it is fucked up.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
And it's going to fuck you up and you're going to probably not be okay with it. Yeah. But it is a really, really well-made piece of film. And then we said that we need to talk about Kevin. What was the other one we just mentioned a second ago? Byzantium?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So season premiere next week. We need to talk about Kevin and Byzantium.
There was another movie that came out before we need to talk about Kevin. I want to say it was called Joshua. Yeah, 2007. And it's Sam Rockwell and Vera Farmiga, and it's about this kid. Let me just... what does it say? No, I don't want the entire plot. I like that when I need to like reacquaint myself with the thing, but it's about a kid that is essentially like the worst.
Yeah.
Like he's a sociopath and he's hurting people. And when did it release? January 24th of 2000. Oh, July 6th. So like right after my wife had got pregnant, we watched this movie about this fucking crazy kid. And it was just, and that's why I didn't want to watch the Kevin one when that came out.
Nope, makes sense. Makes sense. Makes sense.
So, but my kids are older, and I know that they're not fucking lunatics, so it's all good now.
All good. Speaking of all good, we're now up to the fifth Hellraiser flick.
Oh yeah.
So let's see.
This is
let's
where
see
it
how
gets
Joe did this
interesting.
week, or the opposite.
Well, his review will
hello,
get interesting.
Bill. Hello, Chris, and hello, OTC Nation. It's your boy Joe here, and this week Bill took me to Denver. More on that in a minute. He made me watch Hellraiser Inferno. $4.29. $4.29. Man, I really need to look into that whole VPN torrent gimmick thing. It's not that I don't have $4 and change to spend to watch this movie. It's more the principle of the thing. I have to wonder if this is one of those things where a bunch of people watched this on Amazon Prime when it was free, because it's infamously where the series takes a wrong turn as if you started heading south on Eastern Street from Wealthy Avenue. If anybody's listening to this in Grand Rapids, Michigan, they just, huge pop. That's like a hyper-local Grand Rapids reference. It's the hood next to the hood I grew up in. Anyway, a bunch of people probably watched this out of morbid curiosity, and some guy who wears a tie to work just looked at the raw data and without context thought, well, fuck, they must love this. Profit margins. Okay, well, now that that's taken care of, I got to get back to convincing people that unionizing is bad for them. Twist mustache, wring hands, browse LL Bean catalog, yada, yada, yada. Because it's been 20 plus years since I watched this, I did a quick Wikipedia search and learned that Scott Derrickson directed this cinematic case of diphtheria.
Oh.
That should have been brought up in the meeting when they hired him to direct Doctor Strange, huh? Because he didn't just direct this. Like, that would have made sense. It was his second directing job after Urban Legends Final Cut.
Huh.
I haven't seen any of the Urban Legends films. Calm down, Bill. But
It's
I'm pretty
fine.
sure
It's fine.
if Urban Legends Final Cut was anything other than 90 minutes of feeling like you've been punked, someone would have told me by now. But yeah, you're meeting with the suits to get this big old fuck-off payday directing a Marvel gimmick, and you just have to be praying that someone doesn't say, so Scott, tell me about Hellraiser Inferno. Cue the flop sweat. Maybe I should just watch this thing. What do you say? They're definitely going for a modern take on the 40s noir detective thing. And I'm not mad at it. Craig Sheffer from Nightbreed is almost always a welcome addition to a movie. He's a detective who, can you believe this, has a lot of personal problems.
Oh, weird.
He cheats on his wife, he neglects his child, he bangs hookers, and he does drugs.
Sounds like a perfect cop.
Fuck, he's not a detective. He's the bass player for like an 80s metal band on their 6th reunion tour. But they're just like opening for Dokken at the county fair. Oof. The best part of Act 1 is the opening of the box. He finds it at a crime scene, pocketed it like a kid stealing a Tootsie Roll Pop from the store, and after snorting coke and probably catching chlamydia from a hooker, opens the box while, wait for it, taking a shit. I know Pinhead has an eternity to know your flesh, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't want to do it while taking a sauna in your dookie fumes.
No.
Box does its whole clockwork thing. The walls crack. Pinhead makes his grand entrance. Oh, we have such sights to... Oh, fuck. Oh, Jesus, man. Light a match or something. What did you eat?
And that dude's used to
Fucking,
sulfur.
I'm out of here. Torture yourself, man. God.
It's actually what drew them
At
in.
least that's how it went in my head. It's pretty apparent halfway through, although they haven't revealed it yet, that everything that happens after he opened the box is the detective's it's like his own personal hell, or at the very least, it's not real, or something to that effect. He sees people's faces, like random people will turn the corner and, it's a Cenobite, they're eyeless and their tongues burn whatever it touches and they look like they have a really bad vitamin D deficiency. You know, that old hat.
Yeah.
He's on the hunt for a serial killer named the Engineer, but only after he opens the box. So either it's Pinhead or he himself is the Engineer and doesn't know it yet. And ooh, that's going to be the big twist. Shocking. Oh, that was so smart. Blech. I honestly don't remember. I only remember the part where he's in the worst kind of hell. He's in the one where you have to go through this whole convoluted trial just to be reminded of what a piece of shit you are. Mm-hmm. It's like when you do something wrong and you apologize for it, or at least, at the very least, you acknowledge your wrongdoing, which he does multiple times in the film, yet they still have to tell you all about the hows and whys of your mistakes and rub your nose in it. This is where I have a problem. Pinhead would never be that self-righteous. He knows you know what a piece of shit you are, because if you weren't, you probably wouldn't be standing in front of him in the first place. He's also not going to bore you with details. He's going to say some really cool shit, and then he's going to make sashimi out of you. If the tormentor in this movie was a PTA mom, sure, it would make sense that they would go on and on and on and make sure you learned a lesson you already learned before they kill you. Nearly at the end of the movie, and something just made me so fucking mad. This whole time, I'm assuming that they are in New York or the surrounding area because 2/3 of the actors here, Nick Turturro included, NYPD Blues Nick Turturro included, talk like they're doing bad Joe Pesci impressions. Fucking Nightbreed over here is the only one who talks normal, and he just told someone that he's with the Denver PD. I'm out at this point. I'm on my phone. I am halfway paying attention at best.
I can see that. Yeah.
A couple of times here, Nightbreed goes to his shrink, who is revealed as Pinhead.
Love how he calls him Nightbreed.
Which is only one step better than Adam Cole revealing himself as the devil in AEW. That shit was lame.
Yes.
This is where the Hellraiser being tacked on bullshit rears its ugly face. Other than the box showing up a few times, we get no indication that this is a Hellraiser film until there's like 15 minutes left. They couldn't even come up with cool shit for Pinhead to say. He just kind of like, it's all very bland, especially for Pinhead. The ending of this movie ruined what was actually better than I remembered. I wanted to end this with a joke.
Just the movie.
But I just can't right now. Here's the thing. The good. The first half is actually not bad. Plays out, like I said, like a modern kind of noir drama with a bit of action. It's not bad. The bad. They tacked on the Hellraiser stuff in a manner more clumsy than the first time you went to touch a boob. If this was just Inferno and Doug Bradley had gone on a nice vacation, it might have actually worked. Hellraiser Inferno does not pass. But it didn't fail as spectacularly as you might expect. Still a stinker, though, all things considered. I'll be back next week with Hellraiser Hellseeker from 2002. We are now in virgin territory. Ooh. This will be my first watch of that movie. Your thoughts and prayers, while completely useless to help me, are still appreciated. Until then, be good, everyone.
All right. Well, Joe, it was nice.
That's going to be interesting.
It was nice while it lasted.
Are you saying he's not going to be friends with us anymore after this?
I mean, the stuff the guys made it through with us, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
All right. What are we at? We're at
it's time to get made fun of by some other dude.
Yeah, he's wishing himself a happy anniversary, so we'll see what that's all about. Holy fucking shit. With Reverend Scott.
Jason will come out and protect his weed stash. True story.
Hey there, Bill and Chris.
I want to say his name's Meatball,
Yes.
but it's not.
It's not. It's Reverend Scott. And last week, I was made to prepare for this week's event.
But what we do when we switch over to the next season, next week is the season premiere, or maybe next week is the season finale. Next week is the season finale. You know, celebrate the anniversary of the show being a year older. We turn 16, going to get our learner's permit midway through the year, and then crash our dad's car by next December, right?
Yep.
That's right, because when you take episode 827 divided by 52 weeks, you get 15.9. And at OTC, we always round up. So happy 16 years, fellas.
Yeah,
Right,
16. Right. That's a long time.
And I know what you're thinking already. What amazing, spectacular thing is Reverend Scott going to do for this year's anniversary show?
Nothing.
That's right. To celebrate this week, I'm going to not only spare you from having to take the time and to listen to me doing some drawn out list like you did, but I'm also going to revisit a movie from this year that I got to watch again in a brand new way.
Oh, shit.
But first things first, we got some judgment to lay down upon you from some alien abduction movies.
Well, let's do alien abduction first.
Okay, good, because I've actually heard about these ghost lights. They're fascinating to me, so mysterious and spooky.
Ghost lights near Brown Mountain in North Carolina. The earliest published references to strange lights there are from around 1910. At about the same time, electrical lighting was becoming widespread in the area. In 1922, a USGS scientist, George R. Mansfield, did the unthinkable. He used a map and a telescope to prove that the lights that were being seen were trains, car headlights, and brush fires.
Oh, fuck. I guess at least we got a cool alien movie with some constant tension where you never know for sure if they're gonna catch everyone or not.
So it sucks her up, it sucks the Sean dude up, and then it's we forgot to mention that it had taken the older brother at some point when they were in the cabin. Doesn't matter.
It just
Spoiler
sucks
alert,
everybody off.
gets taken.
Yeah, because I think any intelligence that can travel across space can manage to pick off 6 people.
Okay, well, fuck it. How about I just play some highlights from the review last week then?
So this is just gases removed. They probably just drank it or whatever because they're aliens. Hey, you should... shit, they're here. Let's go.
Then there's a whole lot of what the hell was that and all those things kind of going on.
Yeah, you gotta have that.
We need EMS up here. We got all kinds of shit going on. Oh, no!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say, it's a beam of light. I'm taking up. Oh, they're sticking a needle in my eye. Okay, whatever.
Boy, that was exciting. And then after that, they drop the camera from the upper atmosphere and it somehow survives. I'm sure that's fine. I give Alien Abduction a B, and the review gets a B+. Next up,
So Extraterrestrial is the story of some friends that go to...
well, don't leave me hanging here.
Okay, so before we get into this,
all right.
Oh, God, what is it now? Let me guess. It's about the alien treaty.
there's a few things I have a problem with right off the bat. The treaty is the worst thing.
I honestly hadn't even thought of that because I hated so many other things going on in this movie.
Oh, you made that very clear. Like when characters find drugs,
Thank you, God. And I'm like, dude, this is not your weed.
or when kids smell like they're on drugs,
These kids smell like they're on drugs.
or when characters find aliens in an alien movie.
What was that? Well, fucking something. It was something. Don't bother looking. Don't. Just
No.
don't.
Or when characters shoot aliens in an alien movie.
This 8-foot-tall, skinny, slender man-looking motherfucker shows up in a flash of lightning outside a double glass door. Of course he's gonna get shot.
Or when there's Men in Black.
He's a man in black.
You're a man in black.
Or when Chris started dripping with goo.
Why am I drippings with goo?
At the end of the day, I could tell you were just poking some fun at a movie that deep down you really loved and respected.
This movie gets an F from me. An F for fuck this movie.
Wow.
I really, really did not like this movie.
I give Extraterrestrial an F+, and the review gets an A-. That's cool. All right, it's time to talk a bit about something I got to revisit in the theater last week, completely in black and white. The movie, not me. That's right, I watched Godzilla -1 color.
What the fuck? That's weird.
Dude, yeah,
That's
man.
really weird.
Okay, now hear me out. If you've ever seen Logan or The Mist in black and white, then you know how powerful and impactful this change can be to a film, especially for a Godzilla movie set in the 40s. I'd considered seeing Godzilla -1 again in the theater during its first theatrical run, but like a building getting hit with Godzilla's big old blue beam, it just disappeared.
It was just here. Where did it go?
But then the gods of Zilla took pity upon me and gifted me with a second chance. Godzilla -1 color. even if it did mean I had to go to the regular old small screen theater and sit on non-comfy, non-leather, non-recliners.
God, my ass is too bony. Ah, shit.
The best part is, this isn't just a grayscale version of the film. This is a scene-by-scene transition to black and white done by the director himself. Lots of care was put into ensuring this movie felt like it was an original Godzilla movie made before color was available, back when Chris was born.
Yep.
That gave something new to a movie I already know every plot point of. But did it hold up? Well, of fucking course it did. This is fucking Godzilla -1 after all. I mean, I saw a few things that I missed the first time, and that little girl in the movie still tugged at my heartstrings just as hard as before.
I think I liked it, but it was sad.
Okay.
And that's nothing to be ashamed of.
He's a normal person.
So if you want all my thoughts on Godzilla -1, and you haven't fucking heard them by now somehow, go back and listen to episode 819. I really hope everyone out there gets a chance to not only see this movie, but get to see the minus color variant as well. I don't know if I liked it better than the color version, but Godzilla is definitely more intimidating and scary in black and white, that's for sure. No need to alter my grade, it's still an A, because of course it is. Go see it, or at least get your eyes on a 4K version as soon as you can, or sooner. Go steal it. Just kidding, don't do that. But if you can, do it. All right, that's it for this anniversary show. I'm closing it out. You guys already had your chance to look back over the movies you reviewed this year and decide what was actually decent.
Because every now and then I'm like, hey, was this any good? I can't remember. Yeah, it sort of was.
Or what was just plain terrible.
Well, how bad was this? Oh my God.
But even though the streak was broken this year, nothing was lost from the legacy of OTC, or the successful dynamic that makes the show great that I've cultivated all by myself for the last 16 years. Right, Bill?
So it was really cool, and I felt a lot of love, and it was really nice, and something I will never forget.
So to that I say happy 16th anniversary, Bill and Chris. And as always, peace and love, guys. Holy Shit with Reverend Scott, OTC's favorite comedy segment.
Like, comes across more insulting and more stupid than it does, like, smart and witty.
Oh my God.
Anyway, thanks for listening, everybody, as we start our 16th year together. I don't know. I got nothing.
All right.
These were always like so much more of a big deal when we were like not so deep into it. Like, now it's just another week. I want to thank Scott and I want to thank Joe for hanging and being our friends and doing their segments every week. We really appreciate it. It's one less thing I have to think up. So. Join the Patreon. We haven't mentioned it today. Patreon.com/Outside the Cinema. It's the best way to keep the show alive. If you've liked 16 years of the show and you haven't helped us out, maybe consider it. We'd appreciate it. We would.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't really have anything else. You got anything else?
Not really.
All right, great. We'll see everyone next week for 2 super depressing movies. It should be fun.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Boyfriends, petty jealousies, orgies, and lesbian games.